Hey, my name is Paulina. I'm a compulsive overeater. I weigh and measure my food off the gray sheet. I commit it to a sponsor. I don't eat between meals no matter what. And it's definitely the most important thing in my life. And my abstinence date is December 1st, 1995. So last year I just celebrated 25 years. And I will be 59 this year. So I just have a lot of there's a lot of life, and I'll never be able to tell it all in 20 minutes. Like, I want to tell all of the high points and fit it all in and cram it all in. And in the same way, I would binge, like cramming it all in and try, and I'm learning a day at a time that, it's just weighed and measured. It is what it is. I will say what I say. And there'll be another qualification coming, just like there'll be another meal coming. Like, some of my meals are great and some of my meals are meh. I try to make them great as much as I can, but you know how it goes. But a Friday afternoon, when I was binging, this would be when I would binge. Like, I was a binge starver or a binge dieter. I tend to share my story in a very non-linear way. And that's just every single time I try to tell it chronologically, I can't do it. So I'm just going to throw out a lot of things. But for years, I was binging and starving. When I was in high school, I discovered fasting, which I loved, because after a binge, I would just not eat, and that was easier. And then I over the years, I lost the ability to do that, but I would go on very, very restricted calorie counted diets. That was always my thing. And I would count up how much I ate in a binge, many calories I was, and okay, I will need to not eat for 3 days now to even it all out. And, but Friday was often a binge day because I probably would have started a diet on Monday. So by Thursday or Friday, I was getting hungry. And then that's when I would snap. Or I was working, or something, or in school. And it was always that release, that release always that's when I would want to eat. And I was someone, I would not, even before, I would diet or start through the holiday. I would binge the day after Christmas or coming back from the holiday. I was thinking, it was just that sense of relief. And my biggest, no matter what, because I often people say, oh, I stayed abstinent no matter this happened and that happened. My hardest, no matter what, were the day after, or too unstructured time, loneliness, and self-pity. Being alone and full of self-pity. That's when I would really do my worst binging, and also those were my hardest, no matter what, especially in the beginning when I was first stringing days together. It wasn't about going into the situation and really wanting to eat. It was about even going to a meeting, I'm going to a meeting because I didn't get abstinent and gray sheet right away, feeling filled up, but then coming home and just being by myself and thinking, I was living in New York, why don't I have a boyfriend? And everybody else is living the life, but not me. And it's Friday night, and I should be somewhere other than living a different life than I was at that moment. That's what would send me into the food. And my binges were very violent, and they were but I think just they were punctuated with starving, which is probably why I am maintaining probably a 50-pound weight loss, but it might have been more had this binging been every day, but I was always starving and then binging. Or the few times I would lose weight, there were times I lost the same 25 pounds again and again. And in fact, my dad had me go to a cardiologist at one point because my family was worried about my heart because my weight would go up and down. And, I would stay there for 5 seconds and then, because usually I would get down there and life was still life on life's terms. And I usually had really big expectations about what my life was. I was going to be living that life when I got my weight down. And usually I hadn't learned to live life on life's terms. And all right, I grew up in California, and I started this whole cycle of starving and binging probably when I was about 12 and started I was a normal weight child, but around the age of 12 or 13, I started being my mother made one offhand comment to me. She patted me on the bum and said, "Oh, watch it, honey," or something. And other people might have reacted like, "Shut up, mom," or, oh my gosh, I was horrified at the thought that I would not. Anyway, so that's I started my dieting and eventually just restricting the food and then going on just eating something and thinking, well, I've blown it today, I might as well just keep eating. And those are my binges. And I gained like 50 pounds in a year when I turned 13. So I think, there was a lot of emotional and, I was afraid of growing up, blah, 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 boys, the whole deal. And I've spent enough years in therapy to have a lot of insight about why I ate and all that is interesting, but it never helped me get abstinent. It never helped me put down the food. All that knowing, like all that self-knowledge and journal writing and therapy and self-analysis. It is interesting, but they say in the big book, self-knowledge avails us nothing. And that was my experience, that it was really more about utilizing, not analyzing. And someone said, think with your feet. They never told you to eat. It's just about actions. And you don't have to think that much really in this program. It's really so much more about just surrendering. And that was a hard one for me. But okay. Years went on. I moved to New York when I was 23, almost 24. And I found myself in the rooms. I was in regular OA first for 6 years. And I'm very grateful to those years in OA. I don't know that I was ready for Grey Sheet. OA was the first, I heard the steps for the first time, and I thought that was how I wanted to live my life. And although I was extremely judgmental of everyone in the rooms when I would walk in, how they looked and thinking that I couldn't relate, when they opened their mouths, it was like they had done with food what I had done with food, and they were not doing it anymore. And just there was so much wisdom, and being in program has taught me, I've always make assumptions about people based on how they look or something. And I'm always wrong. Actually, sometimes I'm more wrong than other times. And I realized that I only shut myself off from my judgmental head, only shuts me off from the beauty that is in other people. I mean, other people can still drive me crazy. I love and hate people sometimes. And but they really kind of make life worth living. And the joy in this program for me and the power greater than myself has often come through all of you, because I do think it's a lot about God, and a higher power I do call God. And but I feel like you're his angels, his or her angels, and speak through, and that, I hung on to when people define God as group of drunks or good orderly direction. Like that made sense to me, because of course, being an over analytical person, the whole God concept at first was very foreign to me and very, I don't know, I was too intellectual for that. And I don't feel that way today. But at the same time, we have to deal with our substance, which is not always the case in other programs. So, the gray sheet itself, like I had a lot of reasons I didn't want to do it. I'm like, oh, it was written in 1970 and they didn't know what they know about foods now. I mean, it's funny, at the time, people were big on like carbohydrate diets or whatever. And now, of course, people are keto or paleo. That's what they think I'm doing, oh, you're just doing paleo or something. But it was like, oh, this is not healthy, a healthy food plan. But someone said to me, well, it's certainly healthier than your binging. And that was true. And, I just go to a doctor regularly and it works for me. I don't know that the gray sheet works for everybody. And I cannot resolve that right now. That is a problem. I am, whatever, I cannot resolve it, but it works for me. If I were in charge, I would make changes to it, things that don't make sense, things I think that should be updated or changed. But, if and when I'm surrendered to it regardless, the way I look at it, it's kind of like grammar. Grammatical rules just don't always make sense. Or, I study foreign languages and irregular verbs, like they just don't make sense. But you learn them, you use them, that's what it is. It's kind of how I feel about the gray sheet. Like it doesn't always have to make sense. I just accept it. And people often laugh when I say this, but okay, my husband is not perfect. He's not around, so I can say that quite openly. And the gray sheet's not perfect, but I'm committed to both of them for today. And, that's kind of what for me, it's about commitment and no matter what. And I mean, God knows I've had hard times in my marriage. And sometimes I've just like, what was I thinking? And I don't want to do this anymore or whatever. And sometimes in gray sheet, I've had moments of like, okay, this is crazy. Or, I don't want to do this, but I just do it anyway for that day. And, the feelings pass, and I'm here. And it really is like just so much about just staying in today. And I found my way into gray sheet after about 6 years in regular OA. But mostly I did need a food plan. Someone said gray sheet's like joining the Navy SEALs, which I think it is. Like it's very, that works for me. And in fact, video only meetings on Zoom work for me better than non-video meetings. There's a meeting I love and it's video optional. And so a couple of times I showed up and was, very focused and present, but I realized like, oh, I didn't feel like I started using my video because it was, and I realized,
That's 15.
thank you, I'm not as present. Like I need the discipline of having to sit here and look at the camera and be with all of you. And then I really get something out of the meeting versus turning it off and kind of doing something else and listening. It's not the same. And for me, it's kind of the same discipline that draws me to GreySheet. I like that. I like the clear rules. I like clear rules. I don't like options, like the option, because as much as I say I'm, going to use my video, if it's optional, maybe I will, maybe I won't. And I got a call today, or no, I'm sponsoring a woman and she's struggling. And I told her, don't, because I felt like her food choices, I'm like, they seem very, like, I think she's still trying to lose weight. And I guess my experience was when I finally had to start putting days together, someone said to me, listen, just in the beginning, eat whatever you want on the GreySheet. If it's weighed and measured and it's on that, GreySheet, just eat whatever it is. Like focus on getting into the rhythm of abstinence, and then you can worry about the weight, which is so hard to do when you're coming off binging and I just wanted to lose the weight, but I couldn't. There was something about that made it kind of click in my mind that, no, this is for the long haul. It's not just, I don't know, it's really more of a way of life. And I read a book once about Jewish traditions, and a man was explaining why he keeps kosher. And he said, because keeping kosher, it's like how I show my commitment to God, to my spiritual path. And I thought, okay, that is what GreySheet is for me. It's like a physical demonstration of my commitment to following, trying to cultivate a relationship with God and being a kinder person. That's like a global term for what I hope the steps are making me just a little bit better, like to leave the world a better place, and to just be a little bit more loving and patient and kind, things I still struggle with. And I just ask my family. And, life is not always easy, but I feel like being abstinent, I can live it. When I was in the food, I was like dead, like the Walking Dead. I could be in the most beautiful place in the world, but I couldn't appreciate it. It was just, and now, I feel like I'm alive. And sometimes I'm in joyous even, not always, but they come. I have the opportunity to experience it when I'm abstinent. And all right, I think that's it for today. Thanks.